So this is the 11 Pro Max, and I've had this phone for around 5 months already, going on half of a year. And I know everyone's eyes are already set on iPhone 12 and maybe even the iPhone 9 coming up. But this phone, it's just been really hard to beat for me when it comes to another phone outdoing it. And let me explain to you why in this video. So first of all, that feeling of premium, that density, that weight that the iPhone 11 Pro Max offers up is just something I don't feel on a lot of other phones out there. Now, a lot of other phones out there feel lighter. They also feel maybe a little bit cheaper, but there's just something about this phone overall. It just hits all those touch points that just really makes you feel like you have the most premium phone on the market. It's probably mostly due to the stainless steel and that frosted textured back. And then of course you do have a really nice front display, but it's mostly just that density. Apple has nailed it here with the 11 Pro Max. And for me, I haven't found a phone that feels as premium as the 11 Pro Max up until this point. So 5 months later, the next reason why I think this phone is just so great, the iPhone 11 Pro Max, is just how smooth the phone operates without needing something like a 120 hertz or 90 hertz display. Now, granted, that's going to be great when it does come, but this phone is so smooth for not having that you don't really miss it. Like, I have phones that have 90 hertz displays, and I don't really miss it when using this phone because it's not super different in terms of how smooth it feels. This is a very smooth device, and I could just imagine how smooth the next iPhone with that type of technology is going to feel, because this one is already extremely smooth, and just the way the operating system feels, just flinging it around, it's just a really good gesture experience. Everything is pretty great here, and having that huge OLED display along with it is just a treat to use. So the 11 Pro Max, in terms of just how smooth it feels day to day, is just absolutely fantastic. So have the updates on the 11 Pro Max mattered? After using this phone 5 months, it's definitely a strong point of iPhone, but I want to talk about, have they mattered so much? The answer to that question is yes and no. No, in terms of it's not really giving you a ton of new features, but yes, in that there was a lot of camera issues at first with this phone, a lot of little things that Apple was going to add to the phone, like deep fusion, stuff like that. And there was a few bugs. So having those updates definitely helped here for the 11 Pro Max. And they've made the phone just smoother and just easier to live with day to day. So I think that while getting these updates don't really change the experience of the 11 Pro Max whatsoever, you do notice that the phone is just less buggy, it gets better battery life on certain updates, and it does have, those bugs that you might encounter to be fixed. Some apps were crashing more when I initially got this phone, and it just runs smoother now. So I do think that the 11 Pro Max here does benefit from getting all of those updates 5 months later. So the next important element of the iPhone 11 Pro Max that really helps it shine above competitors, I think, is just how bright this display is capable of getting. It's extraordinary. I mean, it really does give you a nice range of brightness no matter what you are doing on your phone. And as a matter of fact, this is one of the first phones I've ever used that I really don't need to take advantage of all of its full brightness, really ever, because at 800 nits, it's incredibly bright. Now, I have gotten used to the haptic press versus 3D touch. It still is slower, but you don't really think about it too much once you've used the phone for quite some time, although I still believe 3D touch was faster and maybe a little bit better. The haptic press is just fine. It works okay. And if this is what Apple's going to use in their phone, you kind of just have to accept it for this device, because it doesn't seem like they're going to bring 3D touch back anytime soon. Now, something strange about this phone, I gotta say I've had in terms of cellular data, is sometimes when I'm switching between Wi-Fi and cellular, and it doesn't matter about the updates. I've gotten plenty of updates on this phone. It does it pretty much all the time, where it just cannot lock on to the cellular data if I'm switching between Wi-Fi and cellular. Now, this might be an issue with my phone because it does work properly on the 11, but with this 11 Pro Max I have here, I've been having cellular data issues with it. Now, in terms of the actual signal strength, I also find it kind of disappointing as well. Samsung phones I've been testing out are a lot quicker under the LTE performance section, but it still works, acceptably well. It's not going to ruin the experience of the phone. It's just there's better phones out there when it comes to cellular performance. Okay, now in terms of the cameras 5 months later, this is really one of the main things that completes the package with the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Now the reason it does this is because this phone not only has a regular angle, it also has a wide angle, and it does have a telephoto. But why it's so important that I mentioned that this completes the package after 5 months is just how smooth these cameras work together. In addition to that, the video performance stands head and shoulders above most of the competition. The front-facing camera is also way better than it used to be in terms of video performance and photo performance, so you're not going to be left out there. Bring in these new pro features to the phone, like changing your aspect ratio, stuff like that. And not only that, if you go into the App Store, you're going to see some amazingly polished camera apps to just improve the camera experience. Now, some of them in there are junk, but there's a few that are really good. The editing apps, the video editing app, LumaFusion, is fantastic. You got VSCO, you got that on Android as well, but there's just so many great apps to actually take advantage of the camera as well if you're just not feeling what Apple has introduced with their regular camera app, which I have a feeling most people do like the regular camera app. So my battery has broken in. I've used it plenty. I still have great health on here because I really do manage it properly. But at the same time, how has this been? I can officially say after using this for 5 months, this is a 2-day phone. Unless you're really going hard on this phone, like, I mean, you got nothing else to do but to use your phone all day, this should make it 2 days without worrying. Now, people who are really on top of their battery game are definitely going to go ahead and charge it up anyway, but at the same time, this can make it 2 days. Actually, I just came off of a 2-day streak on this phone just before recording this video. Now, if you want to see an all-day battery test on this phone, I did create it, so you can go ahead and check it out, the link down below or a card up above. You can kind of see how it does perform in heavy use in the real world. And using the iPhone 11 Pro Max as a phone throughout my experience, again, not having the best modems in here, it wasn't top-notch reception, but it did have pretty good phone call quality when talking on the phone. Speakerphone was really loud, so that was all good. So I don't have a huge problem with it here in phone call quality, but at the same time, it's not the best in the industry. Something small I want to mention is just how big this power button is here. It's just really easy to feel this out. You know what you're pressing every time. I think Apple doesn't get enough credit for this sometimes, but their button placement is spot on, as well as that silent switch. It's just a super intuitive, easy to use button placement here for 11 Pro, 11 Pro Max, iPhone 11, pretty much all the iPhones. And I want to talk about the Bluetooth here, because the Bluetooth performance connecting to AirPods, as well as any other device really, has been extremely fast. Like, this has been faster than the XS Max, and when it just comes to connections and keeping up with your day-to-day life, the Bluetooth speed on this is ridiculous. So I just had to mention that 5 months later. It's something I noticed about the 11 Pro Max, just faster than my other phones when it comes to connecting to different devices. And the audio performance for the 11 Pro Max has been fantastic as well. Still dual speakers, Dolby Atmos. And so that's going to wrap it up here, guys, for me of the 11 Pro Max 5 months later. You can see that I'm overwhelmingly positive about this phone, and it's because it's just a polished device that pretty much does everything you want it to do very well. Now, you know, a lot of phones these days seem pretty boring. It's not a sign that the market is not exciting, really. It's just it's a sign that the market is mature. Everyone has a phone. It's become a commodity. These devices, it's just something that it's not too, new anymore. Everywhere you look, someone has a smartphone, and after iteration, they've gotten so good that the upgrades are becoming more incremental and incremental. But the 11 Pro Max is just really the best of where we're at today in terms of an iPhone. And while other competitors have come on the scene, I still think no one has beat Apple's iPhone 11 Pro when it comes to an overall polished smartphone experience. I still think this is the gold standard. Now, don't get me wrong in that statement. There are phones that are maybe funner, cooler, more innovative, more different, but not overall as polished. That's basically my overall take on this phone. It's just the gold standard of just a polished, great smartphone experience in 2020 up to this point. So anyway, what are your guys' thoughts on the 11 Pro series? Do you think that it's still worth a buy? Do you think it's worth a skip at this point? We should just wait it out for iPhone 12. I mean, iPhone 12 is 7 months away, so if someone needs a phone right now, that's quite a bit of time to wait. Let me know down below if you have an 11 Pro, 11 Pro Max, your experience so far. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Nick here helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well, and peace.